Concord is the biggest failure in the history of the video game industry, so you would think most of the people that were affiliated with this project would be completely blacklisted from the mainstream industry, but that is not the case. And now we're finding out that the former Concord director of marketing and operations is joining Halo Studios as a senior product marketing manager. But before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, we have seen so many people failing upwards. We just were hearing that apparently, Veilguard and Andromeda writers have actually gone to work on Ghost of Yote, which is extremely worrying if you were ever interested in that project. And now the former Concord director of marketing and operations is joining Halo Studios. Now, over the past couple of years, the situation with Halo has been pretty grim. I personally liked Infinite enough. I wouldn't say that it was close to Halo 1, 2, or 3 by any means, but it was still fun. I still did think it was good, but of course, we've had several Halo fails, and we know that there are plenty of people affiliated with Halo Studios who are more worried about pushing progressive ideology instead of just focusing on making amazing games, because these people do not understand what make video games great. And now we're finding out that Pamela Piscatello, the director of marketing and operations for Firewalk Studios and its Concord game, has officially joined Halo Studios as a senior product marketing manager. So she posted to LinkedIn, "I'm happy to share that I'm starting a new position as senior product marketing manager working on Halo at Xbox, first order of business, more at Cat Helms," which is just so mind-boggling because we are talking about the biggest failure in the history of the video game industry. Over $500 million lost and wasted on this one single game. And it does not matter if you worked on Concord or at Firewalk before Sony bought the studio or after Sony bought the studio, whether Sony had them basically restart the project from scratch or not, you do not deserve a spot within this industry. And that does suck to say, because even behind the biggest failures, there are always people who carried their weight, who did an amazing job, but ultimately, you were part of this project, and you should go down with the ship. I'm sorry, if you are part of the biggest failure in the history of an industry, I am never going to trust you. I am never going to sit here and give you the benefit of the doubt. And sure, again, director of marketing and operations might not sound all that important, but you are one of the directors behind a studio that got $500 million to make one single project. That is absolutely crazy to think that this person went from working for Sony to Xbox and they're failing upwards. I'm not going to sit here and support you by any means. I am going to sit here and absolutely roast you. Now, of course, this announcement has obviously raised significant concern from gamers because we are talking about a once beloved franchise, being Halo, that over the years has been disrespected by the people behind it. Now, of course, they had went through the rebrand and now it's called Halo Studios, and we know that there are a lot of rainbow flag lovers behind this franchise and behind this studio now. And if they were not injecting their own personal brand of activism into the products they were working on, that wouldn't matter. But clearly they are. I mean, every single year we see what Xbox does when LGBT months come around or when Black History months come around. They love to virtue signal, and the people behind these projects might genuinely feel passionate about these events, but you should not be using a game as your platform to push your activism. It just shouldn't be that way. And after the former World of Warcraft lead Mark Kern had shared the news to X, many predicted this would be the end of Halo. Now, I absolutely love Halo 1, 2, and 3. I even enjoyed Halo 4. It wasn't my favorite by any means. And of course, Halo 5 was a nightmare. We've had others like ODST and Reach, which were pretty good. And then you had Halo Infinite, which I liked Halo Infinite. I didn't think it was the best by any means, but I also didn't think that it was the worst. And it was clear, though, that they wanted to basically reboot Halo, that they wanted to have a new character to replace Master Chief, that they wanted this new version of like a Cortana, that they wanted to try to move in a new modern direction. And that is a major problem for people. So we were already extremely skeptical. And now, when you hear people like this are being hired for Halo Studios, yeah, it doesn't give us any reason to have any faith in the future of this franchise. Somebody said, where there is a franchise left to kill, they will find it, because leeching off established franchises is the only way they could ever possibly get the success they wanted so badly, which is so extremely true. The reason why these people are moving to established franchises and working at established companies is because they are not creative enough to make anything of their own. They do not know how to write amazing stories and create and craft great characters and compelling, visuals, or create these really unique, rich, lush worlds. Like, they just have no creative bones in their body. So what do? They go to these franchises and these established companies and they leech off of them because they are desperate for power and attention. And look at what happened with Gamergate 1. Anita Sarkeesian, Brianna Wu, and Zoe Quinn didn't actually give a fuck about the games industry. They just saw a way to push their personal politics into the industry. And while some of them, like Brianna Wu, now say that they do regret the hand that they had at breaking down this culture and this industry, ultimately they did still do a lot of irreparable damage. And, well, that has made way for these types of people to be given a platform in this space, and that is sad. Although they don't care if it kills the franchise or not, since they only want representation and nothing else. Yeah, I mean, it just boils down to money, and I understand that every company and every individual wants to make as much money as possible. There are passionate gamers out there who would be willing to have a lesser paycheck to be able to work on and protect the franchises that they have loved, in some cases, their whole entire lives. This is how the woke rot spreads. These people are all networked. As soon as one gets into a big studio position with any authority, they start bringing in their buddies. Then they start getting rid of the actually talented veteran devs that don't subscribe to their ideology. And as evidenced above, for many gamers, the hiring of this person is clearly a red flag for Halo Studios. And we were talking last year about Melissa Boone and the very controversial decision to bring this individual into the company. It just seems that it's only going to continue to get worse and worse. I mean, this is what they think is going to work. Having Happy Pride Month posts where they put rainbow armor into the game. And sure, you do not have to use this armor. You do not have to play with this armor. You do not have to access this armor. But should an official corporate account be posting things like this? In my opinion, no. I do not think that corporate accounts should be talking about Pride Months. That looks really bad, at least in my opinion, because that means that every single day of every single year, there is something to post about. Somebody wants you to make a post about something or another. But these companies, of course, do not do that. They're not going to represent every holiday or every month. They're going to only represent the ones that they think are most attractive to investors. So yes, things are looking pretty bad for Halo Studios, because now we're also finding out that a former Concord director of marketing and operations is joining Halo Studios as a senior product marketing manager. And this person is apparently failing upwards because they worked on one of the biggest failures, well, the biggest failure in the history of the video game industry, and somehow they got hired by Xbox. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.